Time for an I told you so video. Now, not for all of you wonderful people out there supporting the channel, but another one for the Fever front office, another one for Stephanie White. And of course, we are talking about Justine Pissott. Remember her? Remember her? I did a video when she was drafted and talked about how much I liked that pick for the Indiana Fever, which of course was shocking considering what they've done the past couple of years when we talked about Justine's skill set and how much I felt like that was a fantastic fit for Caitlin Clark. Now, did we know for sure Justine Pissott was going to be a guaranteed great player in the WNBA? No. Do we know that now? No. But we are going to talk about her debut with the Las Vegas Aces and Becky Hammond. By the way, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Hope you all having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19, which of course is every single one of you. Quick favor, if you do not mind, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You know all the good stuff. Notification bell, hype on mobile. Justine Pissott. I was annoyed when they signed her before training camp even started. They signed her to a development player contract, right? And we talked about that, and then she's been rotting away on the bench. And of course, whenever these types of things are brought up, you get the Fever fandom, the old guard, right? Not the Caitlin Clark fans, the few Fever fans that existed before Caitlin Clark showed up. And you get them say, "Oh, well, you don't know what goes on." No, I don't know what goes on in practice. But I have a decent understanding of the game, and I know what Justine Pissott brings to the table as a basketball player with her skill set, and I know what Caitlin Clark brings, and I know how that could look together. Now, whether or not Justine Pissott has those skills at a level that makes her a productive player in the WNBA for a long time, we won't know until she plays for a while, but the skill set is there to fit in very, very well with Caitlin Clark, but we never once got a chance to see it. Now, hopefully, I'm going to try. You may be seeing some video as I'm talking here about Justine Pissott. I'm not breaking it down, but I'm just going to run it for you, some highlights of her Aces debut, because I never know for sure until after the fact on whether or not it's going to be allowed to be shown, and it gets exhausting doing some video. Anyway, Justine Pissott, 6'4", moves well, very versatile, shooting guard, small forward, really, at least offensively, can play in the power forward or center as well because she can play in the post. She's got some post moves. She moves well enough to run the court. She's going to create matchup nightmares. Now you got a 6'4" sharpshooter, shoots the three as well as anybody, and you're going to give that to Asia Wilson for nothing. Gave that to Asia Wilson for nothing. Imagine the matchup nightmares created with Justine Pissott playing the two guard. Yes, the two guard. I said yes. I'm not saying don't get it twisted. I'm not saying she's better than Kelsey Mitchell. I'm just talking about what she brings to the table herself with a player like Caitlin Clark and the matchup nightmares that creates. Imagine an offense with her, Caitlin Clark, Justine Pissott, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Aaliyah Boston. And then you can throw in the mix things up. You throw in Monique Billings and MHA and Michaela Timpson, who had maybe the greatest block in WNBA history the other night. Well, let's get into this Justine Pissott stuff. Because finally, she played her first WNBA game. Now, think about that. It's tough enough for a player to go from college to the pros, right? There's not almost always an adjustment period. Now, she had to sit and not play competitive basketball for since April. The rest of the WNBA has played half a season, and she finally makes her debut, making it that much tougher. And in a 106, now I will say the conditions were favorable because she got to do it in a blowout victory, right? So not a whole lot of pressure or anything. The Las Vegas Aces You know that Phoenix Mercury team we just beat, although we struggled with them? Las Vegas Aces just beat them with Asia Wilson, 106 to 58. Justine Pissott played 10 minutes. Now get this, you may have heard it already because I know this was yesterday, but I actually took a minute for myself and went to the movies because a horror movie came out. I had to go see Evil Dead Burn. Uh, but anyway, so Justine Pissott played 10 minutes. Never played a minute with the Fever, was never given a chance. Played 10 minutes with the Las Vegas Aces. And I want to make sure I have the total. I know what the threes are, but yeah, 5 for 6 from 3-point range, 7 of 8 overall, 19 points on 8 shots in 10 minutes. Think about that. Now, obviously, that's like a one-off, right? So don't get the wrong idea when I say, "Oh, guess what that is over a 36-minute number," right? They like to give that so you can compare players who play less than others in terms of their averages. Yeah, that would be almost 70 points per game for Justine Pissott. And look, man, obviously insane debut. Like you just don't get debuts like that. She could go her next 5 games and shoot 1 of 19. But I think we can at least confirm the fact that the Fever front office and Stephanie White are absolute trash. Set aside all the Caitlin Clark stuff in terms of now not setting aside the square peg into a round hole thing in terms of how Caitlin Clark plays and the Stephanie White system. But take all the personal out of it that we talk about, like the jealousy and trying to diminish Caitlin. If you take all that out of it, you cannot look at the rosters constructed by this front office the past 2 years and the decisions made by Stephanie White and say any of them should still be employed. They would not be employed in a real professional sport. That's where you get back to again, the WNBA is not really a professional sport. The sport part is not their number one priority. That is clear. Justine Pissott is another example. Amber Cox and Kelly Kroskov, and I don't know who ultimately has the most power there in terms of putting the roster together, but they've failed 2 years in a row. They had Kelsey Mitchell. They got to draft Aaliyah Boston number one. They got to draft Caitlin Clark number one, 2 players that basically fell into their laps. And they have not done anything. Think about that 24 team. It had a lot of flaws, folks. I mean, playing Erica Wheeler minutes, playing Katie Lou minutes, right? Playing Christy Wallace minutes. Melissa Smith was, now she's coming around with Becky Hammond, but absolute head case. And yet, that 24 post-Olympic game Fever team, much better than this Fever team, much better than last year's Fever team. I don't care about the magical run. They won 1 playoff series, y'all. Let's settle down. This front office needs forget the Caitlin Clark stuff. I'm talking just from a pure basketball standpoint, roster construction and coaching. If Caitlin Clark were just another superstar without all the other nonsense and baggage, they would all be fired. They would not survive this. They have made mistake after mistake after mistake, and every player who leaves Stephanie, I mean, again, do we have to say, look at Natasha Howard, right? Look at who was it? Veronica Burton. Am I thinking of the right person? Right? Who's flourishing now that she's out from under Stephanie White as well. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely. Kudos to Justine Pissott. Love seeing it. That's fantastic for her. I think part of her problem, she wanted to play. I think she didn't fit into the Fever culture. Justine Pissott is competitive. She wants to win. She wants to play. She's not going to be quiet about this being shoved aside as a rookie thing. And I think she also was perfectly fine with Caitlin Clark. None of that sits well with the Indiana Fever. So now we just got our old vetty roster again, and Justine Pissott. And again, good for her, man. I'm happy to see it. I'd rather see it for the Indiana Fever because now we can go, "Oh, man, now what if?" Can you imagine a player at 6'4" who can play the shooting guard position in the WNBA? Right? That's like a 6'10, 6'11 maybe 7-foot shooting guard in the NBA, right? Think of the matchup nightmares. She can run as well. She can play in the post. I mean, that's she's got an insane wingspan. Absolutely crazy that the Indiana Fever just never gave her a chance and just let her go for nothing. Now, the Las Vegas Aces and Becky Hammon have her for 4 years. She's 22. She's in the first year of a 4-year rookie deal, folks. And I'm gonna close this out, but it's probably worth another video. They just got her for on a 4-year rookie deal. The Indiana Fever's salary cap going forward is an absolute nightmare. I don't know that they keep Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell next year. It's going to be interesting to see who they choose. But yeah, man, shout out to Justine, another black eye for the Indiana Fever organization. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. I will talk to you later.